and the easternmost point in the whole EU. No need to mention to explain why I'm saying this. So obviously you could not find a more suitable place for your conference to speak on the role of civil society for a sustainable and secure future of Europe. To start with civil society, civil society has always played a key role in the EU policy, although it may seem that a small group of decision makers are sitting behind the tables in Brussels and deciding on the future of the EU. So in the very basic levels, the citizens select the representatives to the European Parliament. We have the European Citizens Initiative. But in the last year, we had also many meetings of the conference on the future of Europe. So many meetings everywhere across the EU. And last week, there was a plenary of this conference of Europe, the very final plenary. And you know what happened there when they were submitted from citizens all over the EU, it turned out that many of those proposals are more ambitious, actually, than the proposals of some member states leaders. So, for example, the citizens have proposed to extend majority voting, majority decisions on the European level also to foreign policy and security policy. That would mean that things like on sanctions would be reached much more easily in Europe. And actually, it is interesting to see that for me it shows that the citizens have understood what kind of difficult foreign and security policy situation we currently are facing, and we see also actually demonstrated big unity in supporting Ukraine and defending our democracies. And there have been also quite some historic decisions. Like for the first time, we have given military aid from the EU budget to Ukraine. So this is quite something that we could not have thought about a few years ago. Yeah. But important decisions in foreign and security policy, they are to be taken with one voice. That means that no one of the member states can oppose. Everybody has to be on board, and that means also that one member state can block an important decision. And to be honest, what I personally believe is also what the Ukraine war has demonstrated, it that we also need to think about this kind of decision modes, and it's very good such a proposal comes from European citizens. So it's quite a remarkable. So I've muted again. The last sentence. Second important, yeah, thank you. And the second important topic of your conference, the fight against climate change, is very closely connected to the security issue, security policy and security situation in Europe as well. I remember last autumn when we met in Narva for a similar conference, we talked a lot about climate change as the biggest challenge the humanity is facing. And of course, the war now in Europe has changed our perception in some ways. But we have to see that if the climate change was an urgent topic before the war in Europe, it's even much more urgent now, because climate change has got a new aspect, the security aspect. And we have learned that we need to actually transit away from the fossil fuels and transit our and a sustainable way of living even much faster, to cut off the dependency on our big neighbor, or in general, maybe to cut off dependencies to states or in the world who do not share our values, our democratic values. So it was a very important lesson that Europe has had from this Ukraine crisis. Because even the westernmost member states have realized that those dependencies in a globalized world, they can also make us very vulnerable. So we really have to be very careful about how we deal with that. And on the 17th of May, the European Commission will come out with an it's called Repower Initiative, to outline a concrete plan how to get away from this dependency. But another important aspect what I want to mention, we learned from Ukraine crisis, is that we need more circular usage of the resources in Europe, also with the same aim to be more independent in Europe. And also the Commission will propose important initiatives in July that will come out. And my last point is we cannot reach our common goals without cooperation between policymakers and citizens. So it is absolutely detrimental that people, European people and citizens, they believe in the goals what we set on the European level. So we cannot reach anything have the backing of our citizens. So basically, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, as we know. And we see in the Ukraine crisis how important is the role of the civil society. It were the people who helped in an absolutely unprecedented way the Ukrainian refugees and the Ukrainian people, notably here in Estonia as well. But also the citizens are for the climate topic, so we can't actually implement anything if we don't have the backing from our citizens. If the citizens don't believe in it, we cannot implement it. So it's very important to take the citizens on board. And this is what I want to finalize my speech, is that here we see the importance of such conferences, what you are having now in the next 3 days. So it's where you discuss ideas and solutions for the future of Europe, where you come together and you reflect about the common challenges. And I'm wishing you a very good discussions in the next 3 days. Thank you very much.
Now I call on our next speaker for this opening session, Mr. Christer Haglund, Director of Nordic Council of Ministers Office in Estonia.
Dear friends, warmly welcome to this conference. I'm so glad that you have chosen Narva as the site for this event. In today's geopolitical situation, what could be a better site than on the EU-Russia border in predominantly Russian-speaking Narva? Narva is also one of my favorite cities, so I would have loved to be with you live today, but unfortunately it was not possible. The Nordic Council of Ministers has already for 31 years been working in Estonia in order to assist in building a fair, equal, competitive and sustainable society. When I myself started off in my present position in 2015, one of the first topics on my agenda was to have a Nordic presence in Narva. I felt that the Russian occupation of Crimea was a signal of what may come, but I also wanted to work closer with the Russian-speaking minority in this country, something that had not been done in a larger scale by us earlier. Our work together with the local community has been very successful, and we are glad of the local and regional support and enthusiasm that we have experienced. During these years, Narva has changed a lot, and to the better, I may add. But that is, of course, not only because of us. So many persons and organizations have been very active in Narva during the past years. In order for us to achieve a peaceful, sustainable future for all of us, we need to engage. We need to openly discuss common challenges and how to solve possible problems together. Vasily Golikov and his team has done a great job putting this conference together. Big heartfelt thanks for that. And big thanks also to all of you participating during these days. These kind of discussions are so important. I wish all of you an interesting and fruitful days in Narva. Thank you. Dear friends,
Thank you very much. Now we have our second segment, and we will hear from our keynote speakers. And we start with Barbie. I'm sorry, I have difficulties pronouncing correctly the names. Barbie Pilvry Storgard, Associate Professor of Journalism, the Baltic Institute of Film, Media and Arts, Estonia. And the topic will be fake disinformation propaganda.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for asking me to this interesting and intriguing conference to speak about a very sensitive issue. And I was actually in trouble how to speak about such a hot topic. I made a compromise solution for myself that I simply talk about some main principles which you must know about fake news, disinformation and propaganda as we teach it now at university. So I won't go to daily politics, keep it quite safe for myself. So today I think that we all wish that the news we see in press or on TV were fake. Reality, as it is covered by news, is actually that we would like to, or me personally would like to wake up in the morning and think that this is all fake news. So disinformation today is a global issue, and we at the university at Baltic Media School are also tackling the issue, teaching and trying to make our students aware of media's ways of covering things, and also different sources and interest groups, how they use media and what are their aims using media, including media. Me and my colleagues compiled a special toolkit, which is called in Estonia meediapädevus, tark meediakasutus ja võitlus infokorratuse vastu, media literacy, smart usage of media and fight against disinformation. And this is an open course for anyone. It's in the more format, which means that you must learn by yourself and measure your own progress in it. But we will probably have some kind of supervision also coming next autumn. So, as I already said, disinformation is a rising global issue, and using the source Debunk EU, which is one of the which is tackling disinformation today. The 2018 data show that already 85% of surveyed EU citizens consider disinformation to be a threat to democracy. So people really regard it an important theme. And the scale of the issue is also apparent while looking at the number of attempts to spread false in today. The Russian-Ukrainian war has made disinformation issues more actual as ever. And what is disinformation? It's a difficult concept, actually. Today it is used parallelly with fake, with propaganda, but disinformation is like a modern term which is actually covering all the of manipulating with the information today. So it includes all forms of false, inaccurate, or misleading information which is designed, presented, and promoted to intentionally cause public harm or to gain profit. So those can vary from misinformation to actually harmful propaganda, which we actually see today. So this is just an image of war propaganda. It is actually today the site Alamy, which I didn't buy this image, but I just say show you one example. You can go to this war propaganda high resolution stock photography and images. Actually, there's hundreds of them, and you can look at them yourself and see how rich is this visual imagery of propaganda during ages. What is going on today, I won't go into it because it needs like different maybe perspective and is too hot to analyze what is going actually on today in different channels of different countries and press of different countries. So lots of it is going on. So go and look at war propaganda during the ages in images. All over the world, disinformation has already become a major challenge, even for the most powerful countries and organizations. So you can have media organizations, lots of critical thinking units in a country, but still disinformation is going on. And it's also a test for us by creating an illusory alternative to objective facts in both mainstream and alternative media. Already before the Russian invasion to Ukraine, disinformation has cost a lot and has even created conditions for strengthening the overall social climate of insecurity. for instance, a reluctant approach to disinformation in 2019 and 21 has already had impact on the election results of several countries, such as the USA and the UK, and also the COVID-19 crisis. Lots of what is fake, what is true, difficult to consider when we live in this flow of information coming from different channels. To go to classics, manipulating in communication is like as old as human. There have been always interest groups which want to persuade other people in their truth. So communication has always included persuasion. And I'm going to talk about logical fallacy, which is a flaw in the reasoning. And logical fallacies are like tricks or illusions of thought. And they are very sneaky. They're used by politicians, the media, salesmen, advertisers to fool people or to manipulate people or to get people to do things that someone wants. And one needs really critical thinking and training to recognize those fallacies. Of course, it needs a real course to get a very good picture, but I just give some examples. So every person works in, for instance, advertising companies knows about those tricks, how to manipulate people. You can go to creative copying, for instance, and look there. So you see 10 logical fallacies you should know and how to spot them. Hominem, so talking about a person instead of a cause of things, so accusing one person of doing something. So the appeal to authority, so the straw man, which is a theme which is thrown to a discussion to change the discussion, the appeal to ignorant people do not actually know about lots of issues. You can talk a lot if you know a bit better than others about some issues. And there's a premise that the auditorium is not competent. You can manipulate it. The false dilemma, so the slippery slope or domino theory. So if you go wrong, you will keep on going to the same path. The circular argument, so there's no actually proof of your claim. So the alphabet soup, which is really giving lots of acronyms, abbreviations, and occulted language, which is like many areas, and you can impress people with those, which is used also everywhere in academy, for instance. Also bandwagon, which is everybody wants to be like others. So if others are right, then the thing true. Red herring, which is also throwing a hot theme into a conversation to change the conversation. And there is also a good site which I suggest you look at. You can your logical fallacies, just go to those icons and they will explain you all the different ways of manipulating people. So it's known for ages. It's learned in communication schools. It's learned in different clubs of discussion, but still you can meet those logical fallacies in discussion and media, and people are manipulated, which is a pity, but so go there and you can so yeah. I have to go back here. So, and the same techniques are used in propaganda in a different scale, of course. So what makes a difference? What makes a difference? So if this is used in selling you vacuum cleaner, so this is innocent. But the same techniques are used in propaganda, have been used in propaganda last century, and actually also before it, but 20th century was, of course, a golden time of propaganda, especially the 30s and 40s. But all those techniques are used today in different fields of communication in manipulation. But what comes to propaganda, that this is using information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, to promote a political cause or point of view. And the worst of it is, of course, war propaganda. So in sales you can find it, but sales is innocent. So some of the typical fallacies and technologies of persuasion which can shape the public opinion on certain issues are conspiracy. We met them during the COVID crisis. We see them now in war propaganda. So there's fabrication, there's this bandwagoning, which is appealing to popularity, clickbait content, which is content which attracts attention and encourages visitors to click on a link to a particular web page. Then whataboutism, which is tu quoque, which is fallacy that attempts to discredit an opponent's position. So accusing another in something what you actually yourself do. So by using those and many other techniques, hostile actors manipulate and distort the truth. So I go to some of the European pages which tackle this the information war. One of those is Debunk EU, which you can go and look what they are doing. So this is an independent technological analytical center and an NGO whose main task is to research disinformation in the public space and execute media literacy campaigns. By using artificial intelligence, Debunk EU carries out detailed research on disinformation in the Baltic states and also works on joint projects with their partners in the United States and North Macedonia. Debunk EU initiative has also received praise from international media giants, the Financial Times, The Economist, and The Independent. The organization has introduced their work in 17 countries so far, including US, Germany, United Kingdom, France, Serbia, and others. So go and have a look. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just then as yeah. Propastop is an Estonian independent blog which I suggest suggest you in English, in Russian, and it's run by volunteers who many belong to the Estonian Defense League and Estonia Voluntary National Defense Organization. So there's a picture of it, proper stop. So you see hot issues and go and have a look. It's also in German, it's also in Russian language. So go and have a look. So there are internet resources to provide this information. So there are European Commission resources. So Tõesõna also in Russian in Estonia. I also would like to pay attention to the NATO Stratcom Center, Riga-based NATO Strategical Communication Center, which have lots of resources and also online courses. There's an introduction to Stratcom, which is free NATO e-learning. You have to register. And there's a conference coming soon, seminar for media representatives, supercharge your credibility and readability with tools and tips for fact-checking and authenticity. So, and this looks like that. The NATO Stratcom resources. Yeah, and there's also some internet tools which I would like to pay attention. This is my last slide. There's lots of machinery and algorithms using artificial intelligence to check information, which journalists also today can use. There are internet archives. You can check the site which information comes from. There's expert level fact-checking pages. In Google Images, you can check versions of images. In photo forensics, you can check origin of photos and checking manipulations. Origin of photos can be checked also at EXIF data view, and geolocation of taken photos can be checked in Resource Cat, which has also some other possibilities. So we have lots of tools actually which information professionals can use, but and I also suggest that civil society organizations train themselves in checking information, in critical thinking, in learning those logical fallacies to be more safe in the world today, which is full of manipulation and different hostile intentions to change the views of us. So that's my end picture. This is a sign of truth, which was found just a random sign on a parking lot somewhere in US. So truth is like very fragile today. But thank you very much. That was my presentation, and I really suggest that you visit all those sites. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you. And now I have the pleasure of calling Jani Kopila, Advocacy Officer of UNA Finland. He will speak to us on how does the implementation of the 2030 agenda show in Finland. There?
Okay. Thank you. Let me start by sharing my screen. Am I sharing now? Is it in a presentation mode? Not yet.
It's all clear.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there in person. It would have been really nice to join you, but I'm happy to join virtually. And thank you for the previous speakers. It was very interesting to hear your presentations as well. I was asked to talk about civil society ideas for the sustainable and secure future of Europe, and it's quite a broad topic. So I decided to focus mostly on the new Finnish Sustainable Development Committee's strategy, which was just launched. We had the launching, I think it was just a week ago, actually. And civil society had a key role in preparing this. But going into the new strategy, I will just quickly go coming from top down. So starting from the UN Secretary General's message from last year's high-level political forum, which is the highest meeting for sustainable development in the UN, sorry. He was saying that the year 2020 was a global annus horribilis, a year of despair, and we need to move from death to health, from disaster to reconstruction, from despair to hope, from business as usual to transformation, and the sustainable development goals are more important now than ever. And I think the message has not gone old. It has actually been reinforced during the recent events, as it was mentioned by previous speakers, the transition to green energy, getting rid of fossil fuels has become not only a climate change issue, it is also a security issue. And also we have seen the interconnections between the goals, like for example, the connection between food security to peace and security, for example. It was already highlighted when World Food Programme got the Nobel Peace Prize last year, or 2 years ago, sorry. But I think now we are all seeing the global food crisis that might take place because of the Russian-Ukrainian war, for example. So the impacts of wheat prices going up in Middle East and Africa, and how half of the wheat that World Food Programme is using comes from Ukraine and Russia together. So we are really seeing lots of threats, but we can still use sustainable development goals as the roadmap to try to tackle these challenges. And I will just quickly point out that, yes, we need transformational change. And this is also the key thinking behind the Finnish new strategy, that we can't just change something. We need to change all the aspects. Global Sustainable Development Report, which was published 2019, brought out the 4 alarms, which are climate change, biodiversity loss, rising waste production, especially plastic and e-waste, and then rising inequalities between countries and within countries. And if these 4 alarms are not tackled, then we can't actually deal with any of sustainable development goals. Now with COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen even more of the interlinkages between the goals. SDG 3 goal on good health and well-being has had lots of impacts on the other goals. Before COVID, the world was off track on ending poverty by 2030, but now we are actually pushing more than 7 people into extreme poverty because of the COVID, and the first increases in global poverty in decades. So this is a huge turn into a negative. Also the food insecurity, which was already on the rise. And as I now mentioned, the war will put an additional pressure on this one. Education is key. I know that many of the organizations present there, you're also working with education. School closures were affecting students very in unequal way. It's poorest children that are suffering the most. They don't have the access to online education, and also then we could see like if there are no basic hand washing facilities at homes or schools or not even hospitals, these are interconnected with the possibilities to use these services. And the cross-cutting theme of the rights of women and girls. The lockdowns were globally increasing the violence against women and girls. And of course, as the safety houses were also closed and people had less possibilities to escape. So that was also a huge challenge. The unpaid care work. Also, women are mostly accounting for health and social workers, and also they are taking care of the children and elderly mostly. So what we have done in Finland, let me first start by the implementation framework quickly. So our Sustainable Development Committee is led by the Prime Minister, and it has been working since it has got interministerial coordination network, and then we have got 2 science panels. One is a general SDG panel, and one is on climate change specifically. Then expert group from the youth called Youth Agenda. They are between 15 and 29 years old, and they advise the Secretariat and also take part in the work of the climate change, for example. Then we have had a citizens panel where we do a survey and look at the citizens' views in general. And then, of course, societal commitment, which is commitment you can do online, and it's open for all individuals or schools or companies and all actors. And one last thing to mention, the voluntary national reviews. This one in 2020, the Finnish civil society views were published as the second page of the official report, so that when you had SDG 1 official reports, then on the next page you had the civil society view, and these were done independently, and they were not edited before putting into the publication. So it was the free opinion of the civil society as the part of the official report, which we think is a good practice to share. And then I've listed some of the key policies and processes, but I just want to highlight the new strategy, which I will go more into detail now. This is from the publication event. So we looked at 6 transformations that are needed in order for Finland to sustainable development by 2030. The first one is economical sustainability, serving the well-being of people, bringing sustainable jobs, and having sustainable consumption as the basis. Then education, skills, and sustainable lifestyles as the second focus area. And then well-being, health, and societal participation, the third. Food systems that contribute to well-being. The fourth, climate neutrality and biodiversity through sustainable use of natural resources and sustainable energy systems. And in addition to this, support to global implementation of Agenda 2030. And the Finnish challenges related to climate change and the use of natural resources, overconsumption of natural resources. And these are the reasons why we have so many focus areas here dealing with those ones. And then education and well-being and health and societal participation have been identified as the strengths of the Finnish system. So these are the focus areas that we need to sort of keep on working and improving and maintain the achievements that we have, because they are also threatening trends in, for example, increasing inequities. I will not go through all the 6 plus the Global Agenda 2030 in detail, but I will show you the structure, how we worked. It was like a 1.5 years process. We had lots of workshops. First, it was studied by a group of and they did sort of the outlining, identifying the different spheres that we need to work on, and then the members of the Sustainable Development Committee had a series of workshops where we concentrated on creating the mission and the vision, and then these tools that we see essential as achieving the. And the working groups, they were all a mixture of like ministries, private sector, civil societies, and other stakeholders. So the first one is the one on economy. So what needs to change? We need to move from overconsumption of natural resources to taking human and natural capital of economical thinking. We need to speed up circular economy and strengthen welfare economy thinking. We need new indicators to measure natural capital and human capital development. So reliance on GDP has been directing us too much. And then there was some suggestions such as evaluation board for sustainability transition to support long-term sticks, and then assessment and regulation methods. And then there were identification of the instruments like taxation, harmful subsidies removal, research and innovation investments, and greenhouse gas emissions trading and its effects. Public procurement was seen essential in the trend, especially the role of state companies as forerunners in sustainability. And this has been now, of course, very topical since we are trying to get the dependency cuts to the fossil fuels, Russian oil and gas and coal, and also the wood is a big issue in Finland as well. And corporate responsibility in global value chains. It was seen that we can't do this at national level. We need to work in EU level and also at supporting the UN level corporate responsibility work. And of course, we need support the sustainable choices that the people can make, but it cannot be put as the burden of the customer to choose. So they must regulation that directs the consumption. And then on the other hand, then looking at the social side, so ensuring good work-life and skillful employment force, we need to ensure enabling conditions for employees and companies for just transition. So there should be mechanisms to allow for continuous learning, career diversity, and flexible arrangements for family and work life balance as well. And it was seen very important to forecast for green transition's effects to work life sector by sector, and identification of education possibilities. Also, active dialogue at workplaces was seen something that we need to foster and support workplace diversity and work for anti-discrimination and promoting gender equality and equity at work life. So I just showed this one as the first example. The others I will not go through in such a detail, but I will show what is sort of at the core. So the first one, the second, it was on education. I here want to highlight the citizen participation and CSOs as means to strengthen sustainable lifestyles, and also the media that was mentioned. So it has an important role in guiding us to sustainable transitions. The next one is well-being and health. So the focus is on precautionary services and accessible services for all. So for reacting to problems, we should focus on giving the services at the early stage. And mental health services have been really an increasing need for them during the pandemic. And I think that's also one of the themes that the youth group really focuses on. So youth and students have been during the pandemic. In the food systems, also the actions for climate change are really important. And then it was also seeing a lot of connections between like the retail industries as clean energy producers and how these different actors can work together. And then, of course, taxation and pricing geared at making sustainable choices and public food purchases, setting the trend. On natural resources and biodiversity, I think this was the most contested of all the groups, since it's such a big economic rest for forestry industry in Finland. And then, well, there was a lot of what there was a big agreement on was that we need more support to this voluntary forest biodiversity programs. And then, of course, there was a little bit less agreement on the legislation part, for example, that how deep should legislation go. And then the role of cities and municipalities was highlighted. For example, the role of city planning in ensuring biodiversity, transportation and building as the big players in that sector.
Ms. Coppola, I'm sorry to interrupt,
I'm almost,
but again, yes, I'm sorry.
I'm almost at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sorry. So this is still one before the global one. So the energy sector, as I've mentioned, the fossil-free transition is the biggest one. And the global impact is then ensuring the policy coherence. So it should be not just development cooperation that we are trying to put forward the values. So it should be also in trade and foreign policies. And just lastly, to highlight the voluntary local reviews as a means for civil society to take part in. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this update on what is happening in Finland. And now we move to our third speaker. I have Kadri Pio, Project Manager at Cleantech Estonia, speaking on fair green transition of Ida-Virumaa region and presenting the opportunities. Thank you.
I think she's not here right now still, but we can move to Eva, and then we will come back with Kadi.
Okay.
Hello, Eva? Yeah.
Eva, yes. Okay, all right. Now we can move on to Eva Karustok, Estonian State Chancellery, speaking on green transition in Estonia. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. I'll try to see if I can share you my presentation. Hopefully all will go well on this. I think I have to share my whole screen. And hopefully you will see the presentation.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
I'll just briefly go over some of the things that we're working with in the Government Office of Estonia today to make the green transition in Estonia possible. I think the green transition in Estonia is something that there is still a bit of confusion with in terms of the green part and the transition part. I think everyone, especially now with spring being finally arriving, the green part is something that people are quite happy with. But I think the transition part is still something that there is still some questions with on how to actually make the transition happen and what will it actually mean. And I think the simplest way or the most kind of understandable way that I can tell it to you, the way that we look at it is the transition. We want to make Estonia sustainable, and we want to make it successful in the same way. And we're all doing it together, because it's very easy in terms of these large transitions or these large changes in society to always say that, well, this is something the industry has to do, or this is more of a local government thing, or this is a state-run thing, or I'm doing my part but my neighbor isn't. It's always very easy to kind of look at others to make the moves, but in terms of a whole societal change has an important role, and where we want to get to is that we are living within our environment, and we're living in a way that we don't harm the environment, and we live happily and successfully in this environment. But the change is quite large. I mean, we are talking about changing many aspects of our economy, of our society, how we produce energy, how we consume energy, how we build our houses, how we grow food, produce things and consume things. All of these are very important, and these are questions that have been, pardon the pun, but plaguing us for several years now, especially with COVID and the current war situation. So these are things that we have to be very mindful of and understandable of when we're discussing how to actually make our economy and society both green and more longer in terms of dealing with a lot of these issues that we're having. But we are talking about something that changes the entire economy, and luckily in Estonia we have quite a good basis on where we want to get to. We have our long-term strategy in terms of where we want to get to with our economy. It's the Estonia 2035 strategy, and there we see we need this was a very broadly discussed in Estonia broadly. There were a lot of stakeholders giving their input, and we saw that Estonia will want to be by 2050 a climate neutral country. We want to protect our biodiversity. We want to reduce the adverse effects of climate change, and make the best possible case scenarios for Estonia in terms of these aspects. So the question for us becomes, working with this green policy in Estonia, how do we actually do the transition? How do we make this transition possible? Because arguably we've been making this transition for a very long time. We look back 30 years in Estonia, and we see a huge amount of improvement in terms of how we are how we are affecting the environment. We see a lot of things that are currently much cleaner and much more efficient than they were. But I think we can all agree, especially those of us at this conference, or those that there is still a ways to go. What's been happening in the past few years has been very, I've been quite happy with, because over the two governments that we've had now, both of them have had these kind of special steering committees headed by the Prime Minister next to the government, dealing with the green transition. And currently we have the steering committee headed by Prime Minister Kaja Kallas policy. And at the beginning of, or at the end of last year, at autumn time, they pulled together this green policy expert group that were supposed to analyze all the roadblocks to the green transition in Estonia and what's slowing it down, and make their own suggestions on how to improve things. At the beginning of this year, a coordination group was created in the government office. This is the part where I'm talking about my own work. me and my class were brought in to kind of have a general coordination, to talk to stakeholders and interested parties and the different ministries all related to these things. So we know that we're all on the same path and working in the same direction. And this spring, we also finalized the expert group's report that had all these roadblocks and things kind of detailed and their suggestions. So we are moving currently to get an action plan together, to get everyone's roles in an understandable way, what everyone is expected to do or what everyone can do. Working a lot with communication to have people get a better understanding of what we're actually talking about, and we're working towards a supportive framework. And in a lot of these cases, we are doing a lot to get as many voices as possible, because the expert group is only one part of this discussion. We are also we're going to libraries across Estonia to gather input from locals, just people who want to be a part of this transition and give their ideas and their concerns to us. And we're talking to a lot of different stakeholders. We're talking to a lot of civil society members as well, because we want to really get a full understanding of what would be the best possible action plan for Estonia. So we're very much hope these discussions and these talks, and I think events like this as well, I mean, they gather up a lot of valuable insight into how to make these processes possible and what are the major concerns. And this is what we're trying to do to put it together. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of some of the suggestions, so you can get a better understanding of what the main things were that the expert. These are by no means a very specific selection. It's just things that for me personally were perhaps more that kind of popped out to me, but the expert group report is something that you can read. It's unfortunately currently only in Estonian, but I've translated some of the suggestions here so you can get a better understanding. One of the main areas, of course, is and we can actually, in the whole sense of the economy, we need to really focus on things that are sustainable in the long term and that can be implemented immediately. We don't have a huge amount of time to get this transition on the way. What was something that, especially with for example, wind energy and solar energy planning, especially wind, is that planning takes a very long time, and this is not very good. We need to get to a place where we can increase our renewable energy production. So increasing the number of people who can do these plans, or planning experts, was very important. And also creating a list of nationally important projects and a task force to actually push them forward, so that we can get into a place where our renewable energy targets are met, and we can have safe and sustainable and clean energy. In terms of things that can be done at a local level or for people, I mean, the main thing really is buildings. Energy and planning competence of local governments is something that needs to be improved, but also, we need people to have more financing options for energy efficiency, for distributed energy production, storage technologies, so that people can kind of become more of a part of the energy systems and reduce their energy use at the same time. And this is related to also, actually renovating buildings quicker, and when doing so, making sure that we're making the best choices in terms of their life cycle. In terms of transport, currently we have a concern, or the experts had a concern, that a lot of the planning today is focused on car traffic, and this needs to stop. We need to look at transport in a much more broader sense, and really, we need to upgrade the integrated network of cities and regions. And to do this, one of the suggestions was to establish a nationwide system for sustainable mobility and data and analytics, so that the choices we make actually correspond to the ways people need to move and move today. Also, in terms of kind of product policy, waste policy, circular economy principles really need to kind of step out of the fact that they are, currently viewed as an environmental measure, and they need to be actually broadly into the country's strategic documents as an economic measure. And Estonia itself, can set a good example by tendering circular products and services. Another thing that has been done for quite a while already, but needs to be also, continued, is to support the reduction of the environmental footprint of companies, so that they can be less resource intensive, especially in sectors where this is a huge problem. So this still needs to. And as a last kind of main area that I want to focus on is of course biodiversity. It's something that we really need to keep in mind, because a lot of the discussions go around climate change issues, which is understandable, but we also have biodiversity that is a huge issue that needs to really be focused on, and we can't really make decisions that help climate or help any other targets if we actually don't take care of nature and at the same time. So there were several actions or suggestions to make an action plan for nature restoration and make sure that the protected areas are in a network that actually works for them. There was also a suggestion to create a framework so that everyone can participate in nature production. And this is also something I think civil society has a broad effect on, that these are often community-led projects and can create a lot of help to protect biodiversity. So this is very good. But also, improving the quality of environmental impact assessments, and if there's effects, negative effects, to ensure that necessary mitigation measures are in place. So, like I said, we're really talking about huge changes, but luckily, while the huge, and we need to get on them as soon as possible to make the steps towards the right direction. We have worked towards this way already for quite a while. We need to speed up, definitely, but we're talking about a transition that actually takes 30 years, or these transitions, they take time, and while we are talking about a huge change, this is something that we as a way to improve life in Estonia for its companies, for its citizens, and also for its nature. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this presentation, and I think it gives a very good overview about what is happening in Estonia, and particularly the work plan that is now being implemented. Do we have now Kadri Pio on? Okay, so yeah, we call now on Kadri Pio, Project Manager at Cleantech Estonia, speaking on fair green transition of Ida-Virumaa region and presenting the opportunities. Thank you.
Can you see the screen? Can you see my
Yes, we can.
slide? Super. So hello from my side. Ida-Viru Green Plan has just been completed. It's called Plan G. And I have been leading the process of creating the Green Plan for the last year, but the process has been a little bit longer. And now I'm gonna tell you how and why Ida-Viru got its Green Plan. Iru development strategy, there is written very beautiful vision to become the leader of green economy by 2035. In development strategy, there is also written that the county will have active, attractive, green business network by 2035. To achieve these goals and some other, the Green Plan was formed. It stated that Ida-Viru has mostly two challenges. The first, just transition to climate neutrality. And secondly, unfortunately, the population is declining and aging. Before I go to Green Plan, I would like to share some facts about Ida-Viru. It's oil shale region, and 15% of its land are mining areas. There are almost 5,000 employees in oil shale industry, and 40,000 people are directly or indirectly involved in oil shale industry. And there is also some very beautiful facts that I guess that even not all Estonians know. That when we are looking at the number of animal species in different countries, then Ida-Viru has the biggest number of animal and bird species that permanently live there. And for animals to live there, they also need these connected green areas, so-called ecosystem green networks. And 77% of Ida-Viru is covered with these natural networks. That is more than most of others Estonian counties. Ida-Viru development strategy has appendixes, and these appendixes are the same for all local municipalities in Ida-Viru County. They have the vision and also the action strategy how to achieve the goals. Plan B is business plan. Plan C is carbon plan. Is to have carbon neutrality. Plan G, green plan, and Plan E refers to education. Green plan has mostly done by Cleantech Estonia, who I represent, and Estonian Fund. Green plan was formed from two big parts. The first focused on energy and energy efficiency, and the second part focused on circular economy, bioeconomy, and blue economy. Both of these documents are in Estonian, in Russian, and also translated shortly in English. Green Plan was formed through co-creation process. It means that local municipalities, local businesses, local universities, and also topic-related outside experts came together to workshops when the action proposals were created. Altogether, there were 21 workshops and 90 people involved from 60 different organizations. There were also public events to engage local residents. And all the action proposals went into impact assessment, social impact, environmental impact, and economic impact was assessed. And the most promising proposals went into the Green Plan, the final common document. Here is just one example of one workshop about circular economy done last year in September in Ida-Viru. There are 34 actions in Plan G. I'm not going to read them out one by one now because the document will be publicly available and you can take a look at it. But I will bring out separately the very first action proposal, that is creating the new narrative, new story, that we as the industrial region, but as the leader of green innovation. The other proposals are connected to science and education. That also includes raising the competency of local municipalities. Very important is collaboration between organizations and sectors. Innovative technology pilots include agrovoltaics, energy storage systems, energy efficiency. Construction of building areas focuses on heat economy and also insulation of buildings. and energy efficiency. There are many proposals under regulations and policies, and also 7 proposals under financial support. Circular economy proposals include reducing food waste, building repairment, local municipality, and also biogas. And blue economy covers coastal tourism, ports for ships, and also restoring the natural water ecosystems. The green plan is now ready. Now comes the most important plan, or the most important part, that is making it happen, actions, making it real. And here lies a lot of response on local people, local businesses, local organizations, and also local municipalities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes our segment of keynote speakers. And now we move on to our first panel discussion. And I call on Vasily Kulikov to take over and prepare for the first panel discussion. Vasily.
Thank you very much. Thank you, dear keynote speakers, for all your interesting conversations and presentations. Thank you, Hatem, for leaving me opportunity to discuss our first key theme, which is called Media Control and Digital Security, Countering Cognitive Warfare, Awareness and Resilience of Civil Society. And I have a pleasure to invite here at the stage our very good experts from different countries. So please welcome Adel Abdelghadi, the head of the WE organization from Netherlands. Applause, please. The next one is a very good friend of mine, Michael Kavouklis, the president of House of Free Europe in Rhodos from Greece. Janek Raila, the senior cloud architect of Onrego OU from Finland. And Ursula Rosma, director of British Council, Estonia. Yeah, here. Adel, поменяйся с местами. Change the place. Yeah. Well, okay. Right. Nicholas? Okay. Nicholas? You could sit down. No worries. Okay. So, yes, something like that. Okay. No worries. So, countering cognitive, right? So, countering cognitive warfare. As you know, the media control, the cognitive thinking, it's very important that each of us understands where we are, what we do. So, I would like to say what is the aim of cognitive warfare. The aim is not only that the people think, but it's now they think and act according to their activities. Aims of the cognitive warfare can be limited with a short time period. So we would like to now to hear your opinions and ideas in terms of cognitive warfare and media control, and from the perspective of youth and civil society. So let's do this way that each of you have up to 5-6 minutes to present. If you want, you could share your presentation with us on the screen through the Zoom. And later on, I will have several questions, and we'll also give an opportunity for the audience to request you to reply on their questions. I would like to start, if you let me, by giving the floor for Adel, for you. All right? So you could come here. Yeah?
Hello, everyone. My name is Adel Baghdadi from the Netherlands. I thought like we'll just share with you some bullet points. I don't even think I will need the 6 minutes, but we will see. So like more to have an interactive, so more a dialogue with each other. So I thought like it's been also already mentioned in the morning, the importance of working together between the civil society and the government. This is like Jane has shared it already in the morning, and this for me I think is really the core of collaboration between the different stakeholders, because none of these stakeholders can move any 1 centimeter, sort to say, forward without each other. And the civil society is, as a term, it's describing the social atmosphere where citizens are acting, expressing, and organizing themselves in a way to be able to build and contribute to the society and to build up the positive impact in society as well. While the civil resilience is describing the civil society ability to resist challenges or threats. And this is, I think, what we are discussing here today, as we see more and more the threats and the challenges that are facing civil societies, but also countries, are increasing per day. And this is something highlighting the important role of the civil society and NGO sector in building this kind of resilience and contributing as positive as it should. And here, of course, we cannot ignore the role of media that's playing either with or against this kind of resilience. And it depends from which perspective we want to look at it. It's always the case of, we see a propaganda, we see like a governmental or sometimes like a regimes kind of channels. On the other side, we see the people and the rebels, or the people with that they want to make the change. And here I think it's also so important to show the role of the new media, the role of the social media, that it's increasing day by day. As like the social media is these days is the platform that gave already the voices for a lot of people that never been heard before, and make the changes in this world as well. But at the same time, the social media, as we all know, create our own bubble. So we all, I think most of us at least, on social media, and then we see that like after using the social media for a couple of months, years maybe, you started to look like we all look the same in our bubble, on our platform, on our timeline. So this is also a way of how social media also shaping the mindset and shaping the perspective of us, basically everyone, by thinking everyone think as me, basically. And this could be very dangerous when we are on the other side of the islands, when we are very, for example, like radical left or right. I won't take a side, but then when we are very radical, and then you see all the radicals' ideas on your timeline, that could also have consequences on the future of the society in general and the cohesion of the society in general. But the social media also gave the platform for many vulnerable groups and many minorities, always find it difficult to pronounce this word, to give them a platform to be represented. And slowly we saw a lot of people that been started on a social media platform, that they've been started on YouTube or on Instagram, and slowly they made it to the official television. And this was very important, because the importance of representation is also a key actor in the media in general. When we're talking about inclusivity, when we're talking about like future, when we're talking about like inclusive future for everyone, that everyone feel themselves included, we need to see a mirror, a reflection of me on TV. If I am a young, I won't say like whatever background I came from, I need to see a grown-up me on TV that will give me hope that I can also make it. Not that, okay, if someone came from disadvantaged family, that this means that they have to stay there forever. So this is also really the importance of representation on the media as well. And of course, I think the propaganda that like we've seen it also, like how the media used and been used already as propaganda and promoting propaganda. And here I think it was very clearly for all of us in 2020 when the COVID pandemic came out, and then we see like all kind of conspiracy theory. We've seen everyone become an expert all of a sudden, and we see it on all over the news. And this is also like create a division in the society. So the media role was really very crucial. And then you've seen a parallel world that existed on social media, and that also created kind of a totally different reality for many people. So out of a sudden, the media played a role in really division and dividing the society, and it really cracked the society more than before, I would say, or make it more clearer when we've been hit as a society in general, as a whole world, with such a pandemic. But as a second example, the US election as well, like we've seen it with the Trump-Joe Biden election, how much also the social media really played a huge role to mobilize people to vote, and that led to change as well. So like you see it everywhere, how media and social media and how youth start to take the responsibility and start to take the lead in their hands to make the change that they want to see in this world, and not waiting till like an official governmental newspaper or official TV will make the announcement for that. So this is, I think, it's really so important for us all to make this distinguish between 20 years ago media and today's media, because like every day we see how quick the media really developing and how quick the whole world is reshaping as well. And I will just close up with like the role of social media as a new pressure tools, because like I think we've seen it in many different examples, that we as the citizens, we are civil society, we are as organizations, as just normal people, by just using an X hashtag, or by just tagging like a big organization, or by just mobilizing a country or a ministry in our countries, how that led to huge changes. And I think now what's happening in Ukraine, for example, we've seen like how even the president using the media in a very smart way, that like now the whole world is also supporting, and the whole world is with that. The same thing, for example, in Palestine, like a year ago, for example, when there was also the people in Jerusalem that have been wanted to be kicked out of their houses, how also the social media and the big stars start to retweet and start to reshare, and how this really created kind of a social pressure everywhere, that like luckily the people could stay in their houses. Again, the US election, that's also made it by the social pressure from the citizens to the White House, basically. So this is, I think, it's really so important to highlight the role of youth in the new media and in social media, and how this will impact the future of the media, basically. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Adel. Take the seat. I'm sorry, I forgot, my memory is so short. I forgot to invite also a very good friend of mine, Rene Aberson, the producer of Babalava Theater Center. Please welcome on the stage. The host, our host here in Estonia, in Narva. Okay, thank you very much, Adel. It's quite interesting, the vision of how we could interact with civil society in countering these challenges. Okay, now we move to a very good friend, Michael, the scientist, the political scientist, will share his ideas on that questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vasily, for having us. Thank you, Adele, for your introduction. It's very nice on-the-spot topic. So, media freedom, the right to information, civil society, human security, along with many others, all these are concepts that were developed in Western democracies and have been solidified as core values of what is supposed to be a good way of governance, an ideal of the human condition. And it is my strong conviction that we, the elites of these democracies, all of us here on online, because we are the elites, having the ability, the access, the awareness to discuss all these matters, have so much time discussing about all these matters that we have forgotten the basics, the meaning, the dedication, the significance of each word, of each term on the topic under discussion. Of course, we know that we are talking about. Okay. Does the general population, the average citizen, know the significance of those terms, of those values? Does he or she understands the full meaning or the centuries-long process to the formation of these values and the ongoing evolution and development they undergo? The challenges that arise or the new conditions that define them? For me, my humble opinion is that no, they don't. The average citizen is not aware of this all. He or she knows the words, he or she knows that they are important, but not why and how they are integral to a citizen to exercise his or her rights, to make the most of his identity as a citizen of a democracy. For decades, we have trained people to request free media, free access to information, but we never trained them to question the media, to question the information, to evaluate the information. We have been safe under the ideology of its medium. Times are a bit conservative, The Guardian is liberal, New York Times are valid, CNN is a bit biased, Fox News is right-wing, New Yorker is progressive, etc. You take the picture. And we let people just there. We did let them back then, being fed information from the media that he or she deemed more comfortable. The information was not state-controlled, so we're okay. It was run by business and independent organizations, and our main worry was whether large corporations that were state contractors controlled the media to extort governments to take public money. And that was the whole study. And then came the internet. Every user became a publisher. Literally anyone from any place in the world could publish anything that could be read by anyone from any place in the world. It's vast. I see many young people here. I still remember the before internet period, okay? It's something else. So we have no borders, no national legal frameworks, no regulations, no language barriers. Thank you, Google Translate or Babel fees for the older ones. Unlimited information for anyone. The dream for any liberal citizen. A dream that came and returned to a nightmare, of course. Especially after entering the Web 2.0 era, the era of the social media. Information is now massively produced, is massively consumed, and is massively reacted and evaluated upon. And as with the pre-internet regime of information and media, people tended to consume information from the media they liked the most. Now people consume information they like the most from the media and choose the media based on that. You don't no longer choose your medium of information based on their validity or their reputation, but you choose the sources of information that make you feel more comfortable, more okay with yourself. And when you have all this overabundance of information, there comes the risks. Back some decades ago, in order for someone to affect the media, you have to be something like an espionage film. You have to be in a small, shadowy garage, bribe some journalist to publish some story in the paper, and then put some other newspaper journalist to make them more public, more visible, etc. Now you just have to publish yourself the information or locate somebody that have already published that because it's quite easy. And with 3 clicks, you can target all the people that are actually susceptible to consume and be affected from misinformation. I think you get the picture of what I'm describing. And you also have noticed that I use the term consume for information. And that's I return to this very step some months ago in August. We are talking about how responsible citizens are responsible consumers. And our identity, personal identity, our personal data, and how we consume information is a part of our being responsible consumer. And what we have failed as CSOs, as civil society organizations, is to make people aware of this situation. That not only to question information, but also to be able to spot the difference between fact and opinion, the difference between an analysis and a narrative. And that's the major challenge, because now we have a major overabundance of information and no actual tools as people, skills actually, not tools, because the tools were really nice presented by Professor Pilvray in her own presentation. We have not the skills to identify what's wrong, what is bad. If we have find some internet personality that publishes things we like, we trust anything that they throw to us. And here I will stop because I think I put some nice topics on the matter. So, responsible citizens, safe digital people, digital citizens are responsible digital consumers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael, for your presentation. And Janne, the floor is yours, the Senior Cloud Architect of Norvega Oyo from Finland. Can we have a Zoom?
Okay. I'm planning to talk about misinformation and fake news in here. So, how to identify the misinformation? One of the best ways to determine whether the information is factual, it just use common sense. You can think about the situation where the information is coming, and you combine with that with your own knowledge about the areas or the information what you have about that thing what is being reported, and then you think, is it true or not about that? Readers should also check whether the information really makes sense, or are the founders or reporters who are spreading the information are biased or have an agenda to support for why they want to give this information out. Huh? Okay. So, look information more than one source. For example, journalists always look news from multiple news channels or sources. Do all of them have the same news, or do they have a different news from the same area? And then more people are likely to review this information and find out if it's true or not, and they can make some note or something in there to think that they are thinking that it's not true at all. Readers can be gullible, but they also should not be paranoid about all the information that they're reading, that all information is not correct. Because most of them is correct, they're just agenda for misinformation. And sometimes person's formal education level can make a change for what you believe in the information, what you read and what you don't. So, like I said in the beginning, you put all your own information with the information you get, and then think about, is it true or not in there. Earlier, it was being suggested by researchers that it's difficult to undo some ideas what people have been giving like 10 years. Somebody tell you always that this is the truth, this is the truth. And nobody else say you different. Then one day somebody comes to say that, hey, but you're wrong about that. It's really like this. Can you change your information, or you think it's only misinformation what you get from the new part of the information? And it can be like that then the fact-checking about that can backfire, and the people will still believe in a certain conclusion that, okay, this first information must be correct because somebody told me about 10 years all the time the same information. So the factors that contribute to the effectiveness of corrective message include an individual mental model and worldview, repeated exposure to the misinformation, time between misinformation and correction, credibility of the sources, and relative coherency of the misinformation and corrective message. One suggested solution for preventing misinformation is a distributed consensus mechanism to validate the accuracy of the claim with appropriate flagging or removal of the content that is determined to be false or misleading. Another way is start like some kind of misinformation war against the misinformation, give arguments that would correct the information and prove wrong the first misinformation. Flagging or eliminating false statements in media using algorithm fact checkers is beginning to increasingly common tactic to fight misinformation. To combat the spread of misinformation, social media platforms must be able to find common ground between allowing free speech, but also not allowing conspiracy theories to be spread through their platform. Websites have been created to help people to discern facts from the fiction. For example, the site factcheck.org aims to fact-check the media, especially viral political discussions. So some countermeasures against misinformation. Automated detection systems, emerging anti-misinformation sector. Should be somebody start companies for that and build it for that, because it would be good. Proven and changing technology, better enabling people to determine the veracity of a claim, image or a video. Active bystanders, don't just read it, also comment for that if it's, in your opinion, misinformation or not. The antivirals, limiting the number of times of message can be forwarded in privacy respecting encrypted chats. Collective intelligence, for example, Wikipedia. Trustworthy instructions and data. And then there's some links for media literature. WHO for Mythbusters page, and gift reading from like misinformation about photos and things. And then there's few links about how to report the misinformation online for different areas, for Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Viber, and VKontakte also. Then some ideas about social media company responsibility to fake news. In 2016, Facebook launched its reporting and flagging tools after receiving an increasing amount of criticism regarding fake news being shared on its platforms. And then also Google launched for $300 million program to support journalism. The company revealed a new tool in March 2019 to help news outlets tag stories that present misinformation within them parts of its Google News initiative. And a lot is being done to tackle the fake news, especially from social media organizations such as Facebook and Twitter. But governments also has the opportunity to help by promoting news literature and encouraging people to question what they are reading and show how to check the content of what they are reading. And then for the fake news and coronavirus pandemic, like ideas that 5G must be doing the coronavirus for everybody. That's like very interesting point of view. Or the Trump saying that if you drink bleach, you could cure the virus straight away. No problem in there. Nothing else come from that. Only good things. And not only is the sharing of misinformation potentially costly to people's health, but also their psychological well-being. So people who can lead other people should make only good information, not misinformation. And it's also always a good idea to think critically about all the news. Then some ideas how to avoid and spot a fake news. One way of thinking is that you stop for a while to look any news. Don't look TV, don't read information, just be without information, then you don't get also misinformation and fake news. Always consider whether the information has a named reliable source. Develop a critical mindset when reading news stories. Think about what might be missing from the story. Fake news often leaves important information out of the story and only give somebody's biased part of the story they want to give in other people's reading. Double check whether the quotes attributed to a particular person or group have been represented accurately. Look for fake images. If it's a fake news story, it might include fake image or images that might not be relevant to the story. If you believe it's fake, check the image in Google reverse. Then you can find it. Thank you.
Thank you. Janne, can you put straight away the second presentation? Thank you, Janne. It was really interesting, and I will later have some questions for you. So I give the floor right now to Ursula Rosma, Director of the British Council of Estonia. No, please put it back.
Good morning, dear Ambassador, dear experts. I think we've heard a lot about what fake news is. I'll give you some reprieve to you. I'm taking you to a different world. It's real, on-the-ground, grassroots work. I represent an organization which probably is the oldest organization represented here. The British Council was the British Council was established in 1934. And the aim of the British Council, thank you, the aim of the British Council at that time was to stop the escalation and the breakout of the Second World War. We didn't succeed, as you know. And I've been doing presentations during these 2 months, and every time when I think back about that, I think we haven't failed. We still do the work, we still connect people, we still try to build understanding and trust, and I absolutely believe in building trust and connections through culture, through arts, through learning languages. And this ethos has been inspiring me. I've been working in the British Council for almost 25 years. We've changed a lot during those years. And the program that I am talking to you about actually got its start in 2014 after what happened in Maidan and later on in Crimea. And the British Council offices in the small Baltic countries were on the verge of being closed. Luckily, it was understood that the 3 small republics bordering Russia are also the border of the EU. And I don't know if people here understand that the situation in the 3 Baltic countries is quite complex. And probably very few of you know that in 1993, in Estonia, we also had in Northeast Estonia a referendum, and there was a threat of breaking off from Estonia. So immediately I understood that we need to do some work and we need to work on the ground. And what I'm going to tell you about is really the practical work we have been doing over 6 years on the ground in Estonia, trying to build a more cohesive social society. And actually, later on, we have been talking, and when we started the program, we were saying that this program is about social cohesion. We have about 30% of the population which is Russian-speaking. This population reads, watches predominantly Russian media, particularly understand. I know there are some young people in the audience, and we can discuss this, but we still see the statistics that particularly the elder generation is consuming Russian media. Interestingly, COVID helped us in that sense. When COVID broke out, there was a massive surge where we saw that the Russian audiences started watching the national Russian language broadcast, while in the past they had predominantly lived in the Russian media space. So this is the background to the information that I will be talking to you about. One of the things that we realized quite from the start was that we cannot address small pockets of Russian-speaking communities. So we know that at the moment we need to focus on sharing the same shared cultural space, basically, so that the people, no matter, we have 60 nationalities in Estonia, that everybody feels the feeling of belonging and being part of the society. And this is what we have tried to create, going down to the very grassroots level and trying to build the CSOs, some of them very, very small, 2-people organizations. But these are the people who have access to those small communities that we are working with. So the first bit, create a positive shared cultural space. It is extremely important. We reach out to the small CSOs, but when we give grants, and we have supported around 200 various projects and 50, 60 civil society organizations, some big, some small, some more experienced, some less experienced. One of the tasks that we understood we need to undertake is building the capacity of these small CSOs. They sometimes come to us with an idea. I want to do this, and they are fixed with that idea in their head. What we try to do is co-create a program, build that program to have maximum impact. And we build their capacity, but at the same time, they give us access to the communities who otherwise we wouldn't be able to contact or to reach. Sometimes when you say that you are the British Consul or the British Embassy, it immediately pulls up a wall or a barrier, particularly I felt in this part, because we are a very strong member of the NATO. There are about 1,500 UK British soldiers in Estonia, and of course we are now getting back to those media relations and fake news, of course, people are saying that they are here not to defend us, but also to possibly attack our neighbor. As I said, we've done around 200 projects, and we've realized that real impact can be achieved through long-term, multi-year projects. And in that sense, I think the work that we have been doing with Sillamäe Civil Society Organization or the Estonian Youth Council, which brings together around 200 youth organizations, we really work long-term. With those umbrella organizations, again, we get access to a wide variety of civil society organizations. One of the things I also want to stress that we need to work on all levels. I've been talking a lot about the grassroots level, but just as important is the work that we are doing through big institutions. A lot of our partners have been already speaking. Barbie Bilbra has been a very good partner of ours. The government office, we are working on in a special network of government offices and agencies and embassies and cultural institutes to share our work and coordinate our work that we are doing in media literacy. An extremely important group is teachers. I don't know how many of you know, but Estonia has still got parallel education. We have Estonian schools and we have Russian schools. And although we have been 30 years an independent republic, we clearly feel and see the difference of teaching in those schools. And teachers are the advocates, and they are the people who need to teach the young people to analyze and critically think. And everything that we have been hearing before, the issues around fake news, critical thinking, analytical thinking, we need to start with teaching those young children and kids from the kindergarten age and throughout the whole school system. Luckily, the competencies in analytical skills and media literacy are in our curriculum. They are in the general part of the curriculum, and they need to be taught through all subjects. Are we talking about sciences or IT or history or literature? It should be there. It should be just an element in our everybody's everyday approach to life. And this skill needs to be taught from a very, very early age. I've mentioned that we are focusing, of course, our work to communities and people who are not fully engaged with the Estonian state and the society, and that determines the specifics of the program. What is important, we never want to reach just those Russian-speaking communities. Our aim is to bring different communities together, co-plan, co-create, co-implement. And I think that is a very, very important thing when we want to create this shared cultural space. This is an example of a project that we are doing with the Russian Museum in Tallinn, and it is about talking about your identity, because Vasily perhaps can comment later on about that, but a lot of the Russian speaking people in Estonia, be they Russians, Belarusians, Ukrainians, or Azerbaijani, they sometimes have difficulty in identifying who they really are. And I think that project really looks interestingly through words and semantics and trying to make people understand. Some of the Estonians probably will recognize some of the famous figures in Estonia, and one is the very famous sportsman who has got Russian background, married to an Estonian, and she has been talking a lot in our national and Russian language media, that particularly about the war in Ukraine, and saying that she can't talk to her relatives anymore in Russia. So when people like that address the audiences, it's real life experience, and I think that really matters. I think theory is good, and most of us here, we are experts in the area, but we need to sometimes take a step back and really think how to address those audiences that we want to reach, and to explain things in very simple terms to them. There are a few examples of the work that we have been doing. As I mentioned, very important, different levels, individuals, 21st century skills, training. Very, very important is the teacher training, which I also mentioned. And another very important area is working with the government and government agencies. And a few examples, maybe we can talk about them later. I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I wanted to point out that I have put on each table a research that was done into our program, and there are some good ideas and recommendations how to work with communities. And also the blue booklet is to give you some examples of the work that we have been doing. We have been doing real hardcore media literacy training with young people, but again approaching it more from the point of view of how you create yourself media, and through this help them analyze what they read, what they consume. But we have hidden the media literacy element into very different other projects. It can be even a drama performance, documentary drama performance, for example. It will be played in Vabalava as well, and we have been having another performance where people from the street are invited to tell their stories, and then create also citizenship journalism pieces. We have a girls' empowerment and leadership program, a very strong module in that program is about media hygiene, creating media, marketing. We have a football program for disadvantaged boys and girls. They have 2 weeks of football. Two times a week football training, but once a week is a special social skills training where again we introduce media literacy and analytical thinking. So we hide this media literacy training into very different types of activities. And just a few pictures. This is from Narva. I don't know if you will get a chance, but there is an organization, Narva Arts Residence, and one of the most popular exhibitions they had, I don't know if it's still on or it has closed. You might be able to still see it. Is about gaming. The old consoles were brought out, and you could bring people who never visited that place to come with their grandchildren. And we had hundreds of people visiting this exhibition. Just a few other examples. And this is an event that is happening this week. If you have got a chance, they start in Tallinn on Wednesday. It is a combination of Tallinn Music Week and Station Narva. It is mostly a music event, but again, hidden into this, there is an industry conference, there is a special program for female music entrepreneurs, there is a bazaar type event in Narva. There are lots of concerts and activities in the open spaces of Tallinn, Narva. So I encourage you to have a look. Their program was actually on the ground floor. So pick it up. Interesting stuff happening. And thank you. So sorry, I've overcome my time.
Thank you very much, Ursula, for your very interesting presentation. And I'm sure we will share with you all the presentations, so you could ask also some comments and questions from the audience. Okay, now we move to Nicholas. Nicholas, do you want to? Yeah.
Good day. I'm Nicholas, and I'm about to talk about Facebook and what to be aware of, and what Facebook can do for us, what we can benefit from Facebook, and what is not also that good about Facebook. The first thing I want to talk about is the good things about Facebook, that it can connect people from all around the world. It can connect information from people all around the world, and connect people to share ideas, opinions, and Facebook is the biggest platform, and I guess most of you have Facebook, and you read most of your news actually on Facebook. But I would say that, a lot of opinions on Facebook can be seen as real news. So when people are discussing different things as, politics, whatever, sometimes it can become like an opinion from people where they debating the subject, and the conclusion of that opinion can be mistaken for news, if you understand what I mean, right? So on that term, I would like the youth to be aware of thinking yourself, does this seem right? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? And is it actually true? Because sometimes, you can see a lot of things on the internet, and as Barbie and he talked about, there is a lot of fake news, and there's a lot of manipulating on Facebook. Everybody now can be like a professional. They just have to, post a picture with a little bit of text on it, make it look nice, and people will think it is actually real. But it's not always like that, So people would have to, be more aware of what you read. You have to be a little skeptic. Not that you don't have to trust anything you read on Facebook or wherever, because Facebook is a good platform for the whole world to see some information or some news. But it will be better if you are a little skeptic sometimes, because you can be drawn in if it looks real and it sounds real, and people like influencers now are have a huge influence on us, you know. So if we see maybe some famous person that we really like talking about a subject, we will think now this is real, but it's just an opinion most of the time. And as you know, today with Facebook comes, you know, young people has much more effect on politicians. Like, for example, if politicians comes out and with a new law or something, and the citizens doesn't agree, they will discuss it on Facebook, and the politicians will eventually see, you know, the debate on Facebook, and they will react to that, because, you know, we are now with the help of Facebook, you know, we can actually stay at home, debate everything. People are really starting to like just, you know, debating on Facebook, because now they don't have to stand up and, you know, raise their voice and tell people what they think. So now they can, you know, connect themselves with people with the same opinion on Facebook, and then can debate that and come up with a conclusion. But that conclusion is not always, you know, the right thing. So you will still have to, you know, think about yourself, is this true? Or is this just an opinion? And as he said, and as Barbie said, there's a lot of, you know, techniques to spot how to, you know, to spot if it's true or not. The other day I watched a picture on Facebook myself, and I actually believed it. It was something about sports, whether a person was leaving the club or not. And actually, because, you know, it looked so real, I think 5,000 people in that group actually believed it and was starting to debate about, you know, is this real? What are he supposed to do now? Is he changing the club? So because we have learned, and especially when I was younger, you know, Facebook came out there and everybody, you know, got in there. We trust Facebook more now than we trust actually news. Because it's like if we see something on TV, and especially with the pandemic, with COVID, you know, we could see something on Facebook, on the TV, talking about maybe how it started, whatever. And then we see a post on Facebook, and we'd be like, nah, okay, well, what they say on TV is not true, because I just read this. But again, it's just, you know, opinions, meanings, rumors, actually. Often it's rumors that, you know, we rely on. And I think especially the youth, the young people, have to, you know, really think about, is this reliable or not? I think it can be hard sometimes, of course, because, you know, you cannot be skeptic of everything you watch, because then you will never believe in anything. But, you know, we have to, you know, spot differences on especially Facebook, because, you know, that is, you know, such a huge platform for all around the world. And what I really liked about Facebook in the beginning was that, you know, it connected people, you know. It connected people not for their opinions, but, you know, it connected people because, you know, for all around the world, we are the same. We doesn't have the same opinions, but we are the same still. And if we only look at opinions about people, we will not, you know, we will get more divided. Because, you know, all of you maybe have a best friend where it's not always that you know, agree on everything that they say, but it's still your best friend, because you know that they are good persons, and even though they have opinions of their own, it's not always true, their opinions. So if they are misinformed, we can help them, you know, be better informed, And last thing I want to say is, yeah, actually that sums it up pretty good, because, you know, most of the things I wanted to say, he summed it up actually pretty good, and Barbie summed it up pretty good. So I guess that will be it for me.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. And the last, not least, our speaker. This will be René. And René, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello and welcome to Vabalava Narva Theatre Center. I don't have a presentation, so I speak just sitting here, if I may. About us, Vabalava, we are a small theatre center that have stages in Tallinn and Narva, which produces modern and often documentary plays. In Narva, we operate in a city that lives mostly in Russian information field. So I speak a bit about our experience here in Narva. We are facing the question how to open society that lives in the Russian information field to European Western values. As I see it, should probably be done with the political changes together with cultural influence. One should support the other. Without political changes, here in Narva, it is extremely hard, as we have seen. In Narva, we have had political power that is not pro-European values, and it translated here actually similar politics to the one that is common in Russia. Lots of corruption cases, a big food chain of the people feeding on the budget of the city, and etc. Also, local political power have been very vocal against Vabalava Theatre Center activities here, saying it does not bring the culture that local, and also they did not give almost any support to our projects. And 2 times, Mayor of Narva have been taken down with accusation that she or he has given financial support to Vabalava project in Narva. Yeah, it was one of the accusations, many, but I think it's worth mention either way. In last local elections, the old power that was here for 20 years now finally lost. Over 20 years, actually. And now we have a mayor who is Estonian, and she has a lot of connection to state government and also to the biggest business in Estonia. So it's very good. Now it's easier to work with city, but we see that she's also influenced by the system that is still like under her and it has not changed. Yeah, it's better? Yeah, okay. So we had here some kind of battle against local political power trying to change Narva and its people to embrace European and Western values. For example, the things that are normal in Western society get aggressive reaction here. In the city that is in Russian informational field. For example, a play about the gay couple rights did not get a very warm welcome here. Even had 5 people protesting against that play in front of our building. Yeah. And of course, a lot of hate in Facebook about that. Yeah. Last summer, we had a theater festival named Freedom Festival. We will try to do it every other year. Like, yeah, next time it will be 2023. We try to do it in August, and that festival got a reaction that. What kind of freedoms are you talking about here? We don't need that kind of freedoms, and so on. On 16th of April, we had a fresh documentary here, the play, which was based on letters from people in Ukraine. The play was called in Russian "Хуй войне." It means like we have children here. It's F word to the war is the name of the play. And it got also very angry reaction from locals. And of course they told that you can't name that kind of name put on the banner. Actually, it was like beeped, the word, yeah. But they were very angry, and we suspect that the anger were actually not because of the word, but because this play was, it showed the horrors that Russian army have done in Ukraine. We are not here in war with Russian propaganda because we are just a little theater, not a propaganda or an anti-propaganda machine. But we believe that we can influence city to become more tolerant and embrace European and Western values if we have been given a time and support of the state government and the local government is also very important, the support of the local government. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, René. Yeah, so this is the different realities which we are living in. We're all from different countries and we are facing different challenges. As you know, that as I said, there is a main team was a media and digital security, but it all connects with all the fields which we're living in. So the same, we talk about the education, we talk about the culture, it's part of our everyday life. So, and of course, each person needs to understand where he is and what he is doing for better society, for better living and mutual understanding. Of course, we talk about the values, universal values, let's say, as you say, the human rights, what kind of rights we do have and what the future we will have. So I have several questions. Basically, of course, we will do this way. If you agree, I could ask one question per each expert from my side as a moderator. And then we turn to you, the audience, by asking you your contributions, your thoughts and ideas, what you're thinking about, and maybe you totally agree with us or not agree. Please feel free. I really like to dispute and have some interesting ideas, even you are completely out of understanding. Okay, so let's start. Yep. So, consume responsibly. Do you remember who was saying that? So, Michael, so what do you think about how we should consume? I mean, responsibly. Should be not only the participants themselves, I mean, not participants, I mean, media consumers or let's say this, community members to be responsible. So what you was meaning by that? Because the responsibility, it's a very important word.
Well, if you buy a defect electronic appliance, you go back to the store and you complain about it. When a social media platform, which is a service, is a company, it's not a public good, it's nothing like the water or the power, it's something, a public company does exchange of information and our private data to target us better, etc., etc. It's legal, it's okay, we agreed to use it. When is this defect, we don't complain, we just live with it. When Facebook or Instagram or Twitter in the new era will unilaterally change the contract itself, we will not complain, we just adapt and follow the trend. So we then are not actual consumers, responsible consumers, we're just people fed up with information. And while if, for example, your mobile company changes your contract unilaterally, you go and complain and you say, I need my money back. There, because we don't pay with money, but with our data, everything is fine. So we have to become responsible consumers in the digital era. And that's the challenge. We have to educate on that.
Basically, totally agree. But if we take about media responsibility, thus our media is responsible for the news or for the product which they produce and we consume. So what do you think, how we could react on the media responsibility and what we as consumers can do in terms of the producer of this content, let's say?
We have to redefine what we mean by media. Because nowadays this line's definition is not clear. back 20 years ago, 23 years ago, 25 years ago, we had very clear perception of what the media is. It's a newspaper and a news organization with specific ownership, transparency of the journalist. Now, almost 60%, at least in Greece, from a recent study, 60% of the articles published on any media platform, not shared, is not signed. We don't know who writes it, why he writes it. And that, you cannot call that editorial. Editorial is just one position paper per day, for example. So we don't have transparency of who actually reports that. Another thing is that the media illiteracy among the media people, the journalists, or the people working for media, because they are not journalists. There is no journalistic ethics. They just reproduce press releases and they don't sign that this is press release. If you just put a small paragraph on top with summary and the rest is published by a company or the state, you're not a journalist. You're just a copywriter. Okay, so all these matters are part of the responsibility. But again, what is a media? If I myself just self-publishing whatever I think or reproduce whatever I think in a website, which has the label of a media and it's reproduced by citizens and users, I'm accountable as a media. So we need to just redefine all these concepts in the new realities, because we try to put old terms and apply them in new situations.
Thank you, Michael. Janne, here's a question for you. We've been talking about credibility of the resources which we're using in our everyday life. So in these terms, you personally, to whom you will be trusting more, the governmental media, the independent media, financially independent totally, let's say, if we could say that way, or to your friends or relatives in terms of political, economic, or social questions?
Well, I have a little like an, how would I describe this thing, that I read the news, but I have a like agenda to thinking are they true or not. And I'm looking for, like I put in my presentation, I also look from many sources before I like have an idea, is it true or not. And I also try to find the writer, what he or she has produced before. So I can look also that it's like some agenda in there, or is it biased information or not. Mostly for if I think about Finnish media news, I think they are mostly reliable because they have a way of people need to check things in there. But of course, competition is also there like high, and they don't always have time to check all the facts what they are publishing. Then they need to publish things in the page 67 and say that yesterday we said this and it was not true this part of, but who reads the 67 page anymore tomorrow and think about, okay, what I read yesterday? What was the second part? Do I trust personal information? Yeah. Well, I always plan to have a discussion about the information what I get from my friends and relatives and things, and plan to communicate what I know about the situation or the subject and what information I have, and then we discuss and combine which one of us has the best information and then have an opinion about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Yeah. So next question, Ursula, this is for you. Yeah. You mentioned very great projects which you've been supporting, including the Silma Society for Child Welfare programs, which I was realizing myself was a very great young people across Estonia. So here's my question about when we use the media, so should we updating the media literacy skills of our communities? update them because, well, the technology is not staying. We always, I just remember myself when the laptop computers was a huge, these machines. Now this is just even tiny, this one. So updating our media literacy skills and co-creation of medias, for example, to engage in the communities, to create this news and to be as not a consumer, but already a producer of this news. What do you think? Will it help us to counter this media warfare or not?
It has been a very challenging task, I must say, and I think you, as one of the implementers of the media literacy projects in Northeast Estonia, I think you know, actually we were requested by our client to reach the most vulnerable audiences through our projects and through our program, and it has been extremely difficult, I must say. That's why I mentioned that we needed to rely on the people, on the civil society organizations on the ground. I think one of the most successful activities has been a media hackathon. We were doing this with the Baltic Media Information Center, and they had an open call for civic journalists. Around 40 people were recruited, different ages, different backgrounds, and as a carrot, we had newspaper editors and media outlets who took them into their editorial teams and published their articles and their pieces on, even on the Russian language national broadcasting, but also in the local media. And some of those people were taken in, and they have been contributing with articles regularly now after this media hackathon. Another very successful training was what you wouldn't consider media literacy training. It was a gender project. And we had a very good new partner here in Narva. And she was adamant because gender issues are sometimes very stereotyped. Particularly, I'm sorry again, I'm referring to Russian language media because there is a clear difference. The Estonian media is discussing a lot of those issues, whether it be pay gap, or which is one of the highest in Europe in Estonia, or family dynamics. And there is a lot in Estonian media. We can't say again the same about Russian language media and local media outlets. And she delivered a program of 10 engagements with the communities, local communities, and was discussing those gender stereotypes from different aspects. Some was through media coverage, but also through arts. And I attended that particular one in arts. And even with my experience, my background and interest in the arts, I was just puzzled how gender bias art can be and still is, for example. And we got a lot of elderly gentlemen actually joining those discussions, and they said, I'm going back home and I'm looking with very different eyes on how I behave myself, but also what I consume. I think those interventions just on the ground are very, very important as well.
I was just wondering, should there also be like media training for older people also who just have one way of getting information? So there would be second, third way, so they would also get two more sources of information, not just one.
I just want, it was just slipped my mind. This year in Estonia is the National Year of Libraries. And as you know, in Finland, I know the libraries, and in the UK, the libraries have become real community centers. They are very often open 24/7. We saw it particularly in northeast Estonia over the last 3 months, where suddenly they draw in people and communities who usually didn't come, or they just came to borrow a book, but suddenly they realized they didn't know how to fill in the forms to apply for the social benefits that the government offered, because this sudden rise in housing costs. And libraries became the places where people started coming more and more, and they became like social centers. And I think libraries would be ideal places for media literacy training. So this is a huge potential, in my opinion. Sorry, I've been talking.
It's a very good idea to rethink the purposes of institutions, maybe, and to propose a better, sustainable, for example, way of using them, because we have plenty of areas where we could use it more wisely, including proposing the media literacy for adult people. I'm sure this is very important task, especially for Narva and the Viruma region where we are right now, because of course the younger generation, they're very talented, they are multitasks, they know the languages, they are but of course we need to work with adults and elder generation. Thank you. Niklas, this is a question for you. Yeah. So I was thinking about the social media. Of course, most of us have Facebooks and Twitter and Instagram. Some of us have Contact, for example, Russian part of Facebook, let's say this way. So should we take some measures in terms of the social media giants, like social media giants, right? Yeah, giants, like Twitter and Facebook, because we basically don't know what is happening in the analytical thinking, right? What kind of data they are taking from us, and how they use it. And the second question is also, if I, for example, I think I joining the Facebook like 2000 something, when the internet came in. Yeah, and I was thinking just to delete my account and all the pictures, everything which is connected with me. Yeah. Can I delete myself? What do you think from the internet? So first question was about social media responsibility and the data what they're using with us. And the second one, do you think we can delete ourselves from Facebook, from the internet?
Actually, no, I don't think so. Because I had 2 experts coming out when I was going to high school, and they were talking about actually data on the internet. And they were basically telling me that, if you put something on the internet, it would be really hard, to delete that from the internet at all, And to talk about, all the data, if maybe you and maybe some of you have noticed, if you walk around talking about cat food, is just a really stupid example, but if you talk about cats or something, maybe Whiskas will appear on your Facebook, So, and actually most of the people are not thinking about it, But, your phone, and it sounds, I don't want to, make it, a big thing. But, if you talk about something, for example, the other day, me and my friend was talking about taking a vacation soon. All of a sudden, my Facebook was, full of traveling websites, So the data will come with us all the time. And actually, there was One thing I also wanted to talk about when I standed up there, but I forgot a whole lot of things. So, but yeah, the data is. I don't think you can just erase yourself from the internet. I really don't think you can, because maybe some of you, maybe everybody have tried, maybe posting something, and maybe deleting it after, but people have already read it, so it's already in your mind. So if you delete it, it will still be in people's minds, So no, I don't think you can just delete it.
Measures about social channels. Measures about the data which we provide to Facebook and Twitter and so on. Can we have a control on that?
I guess you can, but it's gonna be difficult because the state and the governments want to use that, because of course, let's say the president of whatever country, he would like to say things that we want to hear, so he will use that data. Of course, it's not like he will appear and read all the profiles on Facebook, not like that, but will follow different type of groups, whatever, where people share opinions, and we will take a little bit from there. So no.
So you just mentioned right now, for example, we cannot delete the person from the internet, but Twitter has done it with Trump, as you remember. He's not here. Well, yeah. Well, thanks to the rocket man, I would say, who just bought it because of that, because he has changed a little principle about it, right? So that's the person there. So basically, there is someone who has a switch on and switch off. So that is the question, how we can influence, because if we don't play by the rules which we create, which we agreed, as like international order, right, which we agreed, and there's a rules which we follow. If the people not follows, then there are some consequences, but we could not see the consequences against the other people who is not following the rules. So this is the question about this tricky issue. Yeah, please, some comments.
Yeah, I also answer for the first question, that can you delete yourself in the internet? I don't think so, because if you think about how the internet has been built, it's been built that you have always copy of the copy of the copy of the information somewhere. And I have a question for this way for everyone. Do you want to take all the information what's in internet about you in the grave with you? In the grave, when you die, you want to take all the information with you with a USB stick with you in the grave?
It's a good question, basically. So you could discuss it during the live show. Yeah, but it's a question. Yeah, thanks, Nicholas, for your reply. It's very interesting.
I wanna put another thing more from especially the government. When we're using Facebook or whatever, the government would probably want us to see something, and some things they don't want to see. For example, about this war, we have cut off Russia from a lot of things. But countries where we really benefit from having a partnership with this country, we don't see much bad things coming from those countries. So that is also a thing I would like people to be aware of, that the government really actually almost decides what we should learn and what we should not learn, because we know this is just an example, and I don't have anything against the country I'm about to speak of. It's just an example, right? But Denmark and a lot of countries has really much to do with China in terms of export, import, whatever. So we don't see much. Sorry, my language. See much shit from China. We don't. For example, the concentration camps that is there, that is going after Muslims and is actually, taking Muslims off the street, right? We don't hear much of that, because if this would be a subject that we all talked about, we would maybe also cut off. The most of the society would be like, hey, let's not deal with them. But because we can save a lot of money, we can earn a lot of money, because, you know, the whole thing is just actually about money, you know. So that's why we don't see much of things from there, you know. That's, yeah.
Thanks, Nicholas. So we've been talking about the prohibition, right, cancellation, and so on. So here's my question. Should we, as a state, let's say, right, prohibit or educate people when we consume something? Because you know that right now, as a cancel culture all around the world happens. And for example, in Estonia or in the Baltics, I think in all across, we, for example, prohibit Russian TV, state propaganda. They did the same with that, with BBC, Deutsche Welle, and so on. So, or should we educate our society to really understand what is false, what is propaganda, what is lie, and so on, right? So what is your personal opinion about that? And what kind of things you, from the perspective of civil society, we should learn? Thanks.
I think, yeah, like cutting each other, this is actually where we create division in society, and this is where we create extremists, and this is where we create really the far right, far left society, which is we all, I think, here really doing our best to build the bridges between people and to not cut and not leave anyone behind. So I think really cutting information from people, basically what we are saying that like we are excluding you, it has nothing to do with governments, like you cutting information from the citizens. But what I found it quite interesting how we also, again, as citizens, took the ownership of the information, and then the people start using, even like in Russia, they start to use, for example, the reviews on Google Maps to spread the news, the real news. So like the people always try to find another way to really share the right information. But I mean, we also make it difficult for the people to get the information. So the people who already need to take a step to see the information on social media, for example, or even on the media, we make it even more difficult for them to go on another website that it's not meant to be for news, to go in a review of a restaurant or a cafe to read the news of something or somewhere. So it's, I don't really understand why are we doing this, you know? So it's really, I think, I really believe in more education, more raising awareness, more building bridges between people. This is the only way that we can really come across any kind of difficulties and build, and not leaving people behind, and not creating more and more division in our societies, basically. And I just want to build up on something about like the data discussion, because I think no one can delete the data. Like even what happened with Trump, they turned his account off, but his data still somewhere in the servers. So like the servers, no one, you know, like I'm not sure if even God can do it, but maybe, you know, like, yeah, like it's really like that level of expertise that you need to be able to delete data from on internet, because there will always be a copy of a copy of a copy. So you can delete an account, you can remove a picture, but you always can find it somewhere. So this is, I think, the thing. And the tricky side of the, like the other side of the coin is that when we have like this massive, huge, giant monsters, basically, like Twitter and Facebook and TikTok now, that are all owned by one person. You know, like now what happened in Twitter, in my opinion, I think it's really like changing what Twitter also meant to be, you know, because now it's already starting to say like, oh, we might provide money for the creator. So like, you know, so like there's a lot of extra things that coming that may influence what Twitter is, like from a source of information that people would share, raise awareness of something to make it come to the other social media platform into maybe something totally different, you know. So this is also the tricky side about, yeah, having this huge giant companies that been owned by a person or 2-3 people on earth that can control all of and shape all of our opinions directly and indirectly.
It's a very good question what you raised right now. So basically, maybe we should rethink our digital existence, because I have read one scientific article about that we ourselves put in the digital jails, and sitting there trying to find out trying to find out some interesting, important information, which for sure this technology provides us. Because before, for example, we have to go to the library, finding the book, if it's all available, and so on and so on. I remember myself, I was a student who had one book for Kissinger diplomacy for whole our course, and now it's just PDF and voila, pas de problème. So, but you're talking about very important issues about the digital security. And here's my question for you, René. If we talk about the security, but it could be explained in different ways. For example, creativity. Can we create some interesting performances, for example, where we discuss these important issues, and maybe you have some in mind and propose, for example, for us, for your vision about the security in a creative way. What do you think digital security and media control are influencing creative field?
I think it's a good topic, but I'm not sure that I'm the good addressant for that question. I'm not creating the place. It's done by the authors and stage directors and so on. But of course, I think they are probably done already some kind of that kind of plays and movies and so on.
The same which you just recently mentioned by Julia Auk from Russia. She basically was from Russia, isn't she?
Yeah,
right?
she's like from Russia and from
staging
Estonia.
this interesting performance and tackling these issues, because the creativity or the message which we are sending, it's sometimes more powerful than just a click and the Facebook and so on.
Yes.
Because the questions which we are raising always through the creativity, through the theater, music, or dance, could spread the message much more than just a Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, you know, theater, it's like a laboratory for human soul. It gets experiments all the time, new experiments on stage. You know, when Shakespeare did his own plays, it was not like instantly like classics. It was experiments. It was about the human. And now we're doing also new plays that are about the modern problems and how human reacts to those problems and so on.
Yeah. Thank you. So basically, there is a very good trend of artificial intelligence. If you know, there's a new way of. I'm really scared about, to be honestly, about our future. If we talk about global politics, which happens in the world, if we talk about this digital security and so on, because we cannot be sure in tomorrow. And just a very good example about how the grannies could be surprised. We was visiting with civil society organizations from across the Viroma, this Russian-speaking region, to Tallinn, and doing the study visits, updating there about sustainability, which will be the next theme for our conference. And one great friend of mine has told that they are preparing the digital cleanup day, which means that your data, it's all money, it's all energy. And they said, do you know how much we spent on the keeping this alive and so on? So it's like quite a lot of money on that. So there was like, really? Because people, of course, the elder people doesn't really, well, that's why we'll talk about digital literacy for the elder people. They didn't realize that all your data, all your emails, photos and so on, it all stays, it takes resources for energy and so on. So I'm also proposing that you should take a note about Digital Cleanup Day, because I'm sure we do the thousands and thousands of pictures and data on our phones, and we don't really using them. Just, for example, one of my friends just told me, if you bought something and during a year you didn't care about that, you didn't take on, or just didn't remember, this thing is not needed for you. Because we just consume. We are very good consumers, but we need to be responsible consumers.
Well, it's a very nice idea to have a digital cleanup day, because we have to do it annually or even more frequently. And imagine even us, all of us here, will have seriously decreased amounts of capacity we need. But the problem about digital literacy is not about only how we use all this new technology. It's to understand how it works and how it affects. For example, I trust most of you have downloaded some pictures from Instagram, and you have seen that, or Facebook, and you have seen these long names. The file name is something like 36 characters with arithmetics and alphabets. Every time we upload something on Facebook, it stores at least 100 different versions of this image. It's the original file, the file we get as a thumbnail, the miniature, the small picture one, and it automatically creates all possible versions for our storage areas and our friends. So when we go to delete, not to view it, not to download the original image, which is 5 megabytes, it's also there, but to, depending on our phone, to have a 600 by 600 pixel image, 800 by 800, HD, UHD, etc., etc. So all this data is there. Please, like Janne said, please try to delete them. It's very funny. You cannot, because all this leaves traces. Anybody that has run a simple WordPress website, they can see how easily it goes up. My God, I just uploaded one picture of 50 kilobytes. And I see this picture takes 1 megabyte. Imagine that by billions daily. The videos added, the YouTube, how many different versions. When you click quality on video, it means that this video is stored in all these different qualities automatically there. It's not on the fly. They reproduced, they uploaded it. The process they do is they save it in all these different capabilities, which is different or per device, because it's other thing to have an HD on a Retina display, another thing to have a Retina display on a cheap Xiaomi phone. All these are versioning, because we need versioning to have faster internet, faster consumption of information. So allow me to say that we are digitally obese, and we have to do something about a healthy lifestyle. Thank you. Well, some of us are obese in other ways.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
just one thing. Oh, sorry. About maybe a sustainability tip, as we are doing. Like I also heard it one day, because like all of us using emails. So like a lot of things that we agreed on everything, then you say like an email was just like, okay, thank you. This thank you email, it takes a lot of data. So like if we all can really just stop sending unneeded email, we agreed on everything, so you don't need like, I mean, it is out of sustainability. So this is also, I think, a sustainability tip. And the last point that I want to raise is about like the cybersecurity of countries, because this is also when we're talking about like digitalization and we're talking about like media and we're talking about everything becoming more digital, it also make it more vulnerable for many countries to be more vulnerable country for cyber attacks. So the more we are depending on media and not media, and the more we are depending on digital and the more we are on technology, the more vulnerable we become, and the more, what will be the new, basically, war, you know, like, how will it look like?
Yeah, and also, just to talk a little about this again, we actually, everybody, maybe most of you actually don't even notice, because, you know, when we accept a lot of things on Facebook, if we make a profile, if we, whatever we does on the internet, we usually have to click accept, right? And how many of you have actually read those 90 pages of things it says? I haven't, man. I'm pretty sure none of you haven't read.
There's few heads.
Exactly. You know, maybe there is somebody who is like, I need to know. So they will read all the 90 pages, you know. But 90, I will say 100% of people don't. And so we don't know what we accept. We just, you know, we just want to go through. We just accept. But actually, we accepting that the platforms can use our data, and we don't know. And after that, we maybe see an Australian commercial with our face on it. And we're like, hey, we didn't sign up for this, but we did. So it's not to sound like an old farter. It's just to be aware that we actually agree on a lot of things that we don't even know we agreed about. So we have to be aware of what we are doing on the internet. And if we post something on the internet that we don't want everybody in the world to see, don't goddamn post it on the internet. Take a picture, yeah.
Very good point. Very good. Very good point. I'm just clarifying, I've been participating in one training by Minister of Foreign Affairs of Netherlands. It was about children's rights. And I'm really, really inspiring you guys, all of you, please do not put the pictures of the children on the Facebook, on any positions, naked or without naked, because what was the case? That the children grow up and then later they went to the court against the parents because that was illegal of their rights. Yeah. Because he doesn't realize there's no people who will be responsible for him, for the family. So because it stays forever there. And you cannot do anything with that, and try to understand that it could be used against you or your family and so on. So this is to be responsible and clever, acknowledged, let's say, user of this technology and these services. But summarizing our discussion, would like to give the opportunity also for our audience. Wake up, good morning. if you're still with us. So we have any questions or comments what you have heard about digital security, media control? Yes, Faika. Artyom,
okay. My question is for security of messages. Is there really any difference between private message in Messenger and something you publish in Facebook? Or it's just a fake security when you post something in a private message between two people and you don't post it on Facebook, on your page?
Actually, again, it comes back to the thing where you have pushed accept or agree. Because I found out maybe 2 or 3 years ago that they can go through all your messages. You have accepted that. So in terms of is your message private? Yeah, you can say that, You can say that because, if you're...
so it's a false security.
No, it's just like, maybe people that, you're friends with on Facebook can see the message you have written to a family member or something. But Facebook can. And the people who has access to that can look at every goddamn thing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So no, it's not private now.
As Niklas said, yes, on Facebook, anything you do, it's directly accessible by the Facebook technicians. That means that not all the personal messaging apps are not that safe. It depends on the platform. So, and the terms and conditions we have accepted. For example, Facebook has been fined from the European Commission because not only they monitor all the messaging and they have direct access in order to provide more good advertising for us. Well, the marketers have to work somehow, including me. The thing is that they've been fined because they had special teams that were put the script in the voice messages also. So not even this is safe. So personally, no personal information or sensitive information on Messenger or Facebook. And unfortunately, this includes also Instagram and WhatsApp because this is a whole platform. So most usually you should feel more safe with Viber, which is another protocol, more encrypted, less intervention. Yes, it depends or Telegram. It depends on the platform and what you exchange. If you are talking about recipes, it's okay. About films, it's okay. But I have clients of mine sending me bank accounts, the passwords on Messenger. So okay, and every time react really bad on that. So it depends on the platform. That's why we have to be aware of how things works. It's like the phone. Most of the phones nowadays are monitored. You don't share your things. And about the emails that you mentioned, about the clutter of emails we use, think email is electronical mail. So if you don't send a letter back to somebody through the post office, don't send an email either. So it's that simple.
Okay, and I'll give you the mic for questions from Yosso. Okay, Stefano.
Thank you very much for making our life gloomy for the future. Just very briefly, one or 2 points and the question away. First of all, if you follow what you have said and you want really to be on board of it, this is a full-time job as an individual. So my question is, but that's not viable. So I'm going back, we have heard a lot of this, but what can we do collectively so that it can, for the individuals, works better? One of the things I didn't hear is, fine, we dealt with how can we bypass those false messages, understanding and the false, but what about the legal responsibility of those who disseminate false news and fake news, and disinformation and so on and so forth? And just want to make a distinction here sometimes is that it is one thing to fake news or disinformation. Another thing is to make a selection of what you upload as an information from the outlet of this one. This is something different, which is much more related to the legal aspects of any responsibility of those institutions. Now, a final point is, no, 2 points actually. One of them, you mentioned education versus prohibited. That's fine. But bear in mind that the education to work needs time. So what do we do in the middle time? Do we leave this space, until we educate the users how to react to it? And as long as they haven't reached the level of skills needed, they are really not immune to those conditions. So what do we do in the interval? Maybe I'm a liberal, so I'm not that much fond of prohibition, but just putting some question marks over there. And the final point, I would be a little bit more skeptical because I was really very afraid of artificial intelligence, but going through a conference from the Unique Global on artificial intelligence and culture, I've realized that this is a major challenge rather than anything else. So I'm just wondering whether artificial intelligence can be an answer to, used by the specific community, can be an answer to this question of this panel that we have today.
I would think that would be one answer, yes, for that question. And then also for the first question that what is the responsibility of a person who makes the fake news? If they are anonymous, it can be quite difficult to find out who they really are. If they use proxies, through proxies in 65 different ways, it might be quite difficult to find out. But my question would be that if you have a fake news and in based of that fake news, somebody kill some other person, how are you then responsible for that? Are you straightly responsible, or what's your responsibility for giving this news what is not true and somebody acts on that news to kill somebody or something like, or injure somebody or beat up somebody or whatever, beat somebody's family for that or whatever way?
Yeah, because I think for me, when we talk about legalization, we're talking about limiting the social media, because like social media is been built as like free space, freedom of speech for everyone to express their opinion. So once we legalize it and say like, okay, I can share your opinion, you cannot, we already like excluding you from sharing. But I think, and that will also mean that like, yeah, in some part of this world, the government will abuse this power by saying like, okay, you cannot talk about this, you cannot talk about that, you cannot talk about this on social media. So like all this will limit the freedom of speech on social media. But to go back, okay, what's our role and what can we do as an individual to become more active anti-discrimination, more active good news or right news spreader and sharer, yeah? So this, I think, something that most of us, or at least myself also, like I don't do it oftenly. I don't do it like every time I see like the news, the fake news, like will not share the right news instead. I will just ignore it maybe, or maybe say like, okay, make a comment or something about the fake news, but will not make the extra step by sharing what is right. So this is, I think, it's also individual responsibility for all of us to become more active citizens and more active, yeah, basically the right news spreader. This, I think.
My main concern mentioning about social media was about the major outlets, because they are the ones who are working as a propaganda. This is where the legal aspect can really function. If, for the sake of argument, BBC spread some false news, they can be accountable and quite easy. This is, but if you actually start with this one, then at least you limit the space, because they have an outreach much more than any one individual. So this is one of the things that it's very important. That's what I mentioned.
Last question, youngsters. Yes, I have one question. What do you think? Answering by the emojis instead of texting could save more data and energy, and why? Thank you.
Yeah, like I don't have the exact data how one emoji and how one character will take, but I would expect that like both of them are the same data consuming or kilobytes, but like the more characters, the more data basically. So if it's one character, one emoji, I think, around. Oh, so like an emoji 5 characters, so it's already a word. So like, you know, like if you reply with a word or one emoji, then it means the same.
And excuse me, I have also like another comment. You were saying that, by example, we need to reduce using messages. But by example, if someone send an email, we need to reply thank you. But by example, on one side, is it good that we can reduce texting messages, but on the other side, what do you think about politeness? Because it's very important to show other people the politeness, and if we don't like reply with thank you, I don't think that it is polite.
Yeah, but I'm not saying about like a thank you email. This is something totally different than like, for example, we're gonna meet next week. I will send you an email like, okay, let's meet next week on Monday at 2 o'clock. You say like, yeah, okay, perfect. We agreed, so I will send you an invitation. That's it. You don't need to say, oh yeah, thank you for accepting the invitation. Oh yeah, thank you for, you know, like these kind of unnecessarily email. You know, like it could be any kind of emails, but like I said the thank you because most of the time this is what happens when, yeah, agreeing an appointment, agree everything, nothing more to say, and then you say like, oh, thank you.
So he means be short, be clever,
exactly.
Be concrete.
Okay,
less talks.
Direct.
Okay, thank you very much. As a moderator, I take the right to change the agenda. We had a joking yesterday. Okay, thank you very much for your questions. We are quite a little bit late of the agenda. Would like to say a big thank you and a big applause for all our experts today. For Michael from Greece, from Jarno from Finland, for Ursula from Estonia, for Niklas from Denmark, for Adolf from Netherlands, Syria, for René from Estonia, and myself, Vasily from Estonia. Thank you. Have a nice lunch. We will be back here at 2 o'clock.